Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is going to be the first part of a multi-part series of this one painting. Now the reason for that is because there is so much going on in this painting, and it's such a large piece that it couldn't possibly be fit into one video. And also the fact that it's taking me probably 40 hours at this point. So trying to condense 40 hours worth of video down into 10 minutes is not conducive to actually a video that anyone could watch and understand. So this is the first part of a multi-part series. So this is going to be just the clouds, and there's plenty of material in that just in and of itself. So to start off with, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing when I started this painting, which is kind of a theme with me and my working. But as you paint, you kind of understand process, and just going through those processes may be something that can help you get past your hang-ups on a particular painting or a part of the painting. So, for instance, putting paint down on the canvas and changing your colors and adjusting things and kind of getting an idea of what you don't want may be an actual help, because as you saw, I was putting all these weird colors, and then I decided, you know what? I think I'm going to go with a gradient. Which, side note, there is nothing more difficult than trying to put an even, smooth gradient down with acrylic paint. Like, it's just murder, because this stuff dries in about half a second. So you have to be very fast, and this video is only sped up a little bit. I'm actually almost moving this fast because you just have to. So after I adjusted and painted the gradient in, I kept going back and adjusting and readjusting and changing and doing all kinds of things, which is not a bad thing and can be a very good thing depending on how you do it. So the main thing throughout this entire painting, I'm talking about the entire thing, the theme that I'm going to be doing is don't be afraid to reposition, go back and change something, because that's what I did this entire painting. Because normally when I paint, I have a reference photo, I know exactly what I'm painting, and I just basically transfer the photo in its different forms, my reference photos, onto the canvas. Now I may change lighting, I may change position, I may take a bunch of reference photos and add it into one. Normally I know exactly what I'm looking at what I'm doing, and I can kind of ad-lib based on what I'm looking at. This painting, I didn't really have that in a lot of this. Now this particular cloud I actually took a picture of outside of my outside of the gym. Got out from working out and I saw this cloud and I was like, oh, that's a pretty cloud, so I took a picture of it. And I wasn't intending on using it for anything, but it ended up being the perfect kind of cloud. And I'll show you that picture at the very end of this video. But anyway, the amount of times that I have to this point changed and redone and kind of moved back and completely changed the color on something, it's been, I've lost count. But anyway, basically what I'm doing right here is I am just modeling, blocking in and modeling. I'm just kind of getting the cloud shape and the general area of color that I want. I knew I wanted it to be the focal point, to be the bright yellow right at the center, kind of forward center of that cloud, because the sun is coming from the right. And I knew that was the direction of the light, and I knew that's what I wanted. So I was just kind of blocking in, getting the general shape of the cloud, putting the colors in, and then going to go back and kind of add in some finer modeling, if that's a thing, but I'm definitely not to the detailed stage yet. And that was, if I was going to say what I have learned more than anything else in my 5 years at this point, or however long it's been of painting, is there is a process. There is a step 1, step 2, step 3. The main mistake that I made when I first started painting was I wanted to make it look immediately exactly like I wanted. I wanted to go straight to the detailed stage without going through the stages of putting the color on, getting the base color, getting everything where I needed the building blocks. I wanted to build the house without putting down a foundation. And that's the kind of the way that you need to look at painting, is that there are stages that you have to go through if you want a desired result. If you want something to look good, if you want something to have that three-dimensionality, I don't think that's a word, If you want it to look like it's popping off of the canvas, if you want it to have that dynamic color and really achieve the eye-catching qualities that you're looking for, you've got to do the different steps. And just basic steps is base color. You got to put that down first, obviously. You don't want to start with a white canvas. And you put your modeling in, you kind of get your background, you model everything where you want it, you kind of get it rough. Then you go back in detail. The detail is the dessert. You got to eat your vegetables first. That's the weirdest analogy, but you kind of have to do it that way. And the other thing is, don't be afraid to redo something, because you may put something in and the shape may be wrong. I did that a lot on the rocks in the lower part of this painting. In the foreground, I did that a ton in the with the buttes and the mountain. I guess they're buttes, they're not mountains. With the buttes that I put in, like, I change them all the time. And so that's really the main thing that you will need to learn as a beginner, which is something that I struggled with for a long time before I realized that even though it's difficult, you got to do it. And sometimes you're going to have a much better painting at the end if you just do the right steps. Now, using the technique of glazing, which is what I'm doing right here, you just see me adding just a little bit of like this brighter color and kind of evening out those saturation tones. That's glazing, and that is incredibly valuable when you are working with clouds, because it gives it that hazy, distant feel. As you can see, I just backed that cloud up a little bit by adding in that haze. And if you can utilize that correctly, it is a total game changer as far as your depth that you can put into a painting. Now, the main thing that I have seen the difference between a really good painting and painting that's kind of average is the utilization of depth and how they can get something to look far away. And there's two things. It's saturation and detail. Something that's really far away is going to be affected by the atmosphere that you're looking at it through. So something far away you're going to see in a different haze than something up close. It's going to be much more saturated if it's up close. And detail, if it's really far away, you're not going to see much detail because your eye can't see it. So if you've got something that it's got the wrong kind of detail, really up, that looks really close, it's gonna make it look weird, because it's like that thing should be far away and I shouldn't be able to see that much detail. And as someone who likes to put a lot of detail down, that is something that is difficult for me to do, is to go, look, this doesn't need to be crystal clear, even though that's my tendency. I want it to be really clear. So I ended up actually going back once I finished with this part of the painting, which I'm going to show you that later, but I finished with this part of the painting, and then I put the buttes in, and then I went and changed the underside of the cloud, but you'll have to see that in the next video because this one is almost done. But I did end up doing that. So I made it look like a bank of clouds instead of like this gigantic thunderhead rolling in. But anyway, that's pretty much the painting. This is the first part. I hope you guys enjoyed it. More will be coming of this video. And yeah, stay tuned. This is definitely a very, very time-consuming and in-depth piece, but it's fun. I'm having a lot of fun. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you next time.